Good afternoon, and thank you for joining this session. I'm Onyx, a virtual voice assistant, and I'll be assisting Andrew Bowdler, Principal Data Analyst at MIAA. Today, we'll explore some of the most pressing digital developments shaping the NHS, especially the emergence of artificial intelligence, and what these mean for audit committees. We'll consider both the opportunities and the new categories of risk these tools introduce. My goal today is to equip you with key questions, assurance touchpoints, and insights into the governance role audit committees must play in the age of AI. AI will impact 70% of NHS workflows by 2030. That projection from NHS England may seem dramatic, but we're already seeing AI embedded in diagnostics, scheduling, and triage. This shift is not about the future, it's about governance now. Your role as a committee chair will be crucial in shaping this transformation responsibly. This slide is a prompt for self-reflection, not just for you as individuals, but for your committees and your organizations. We're entering a period where digital systems are influencing clinical risk, operational decision-making, and even resource allocation. That means audit committees must have the capability to understand, question, and provide assurance on digital matters. So consider these 5 questions. 1. Do committee members understand AI's role in clinical and operational workflows? If not, would a short CPD session or external briefing help? 2. Is there a shared understanding of the risks AI and digital transformation pose, such as data privacy, algorithmic bias, or system drift? 3. Does your committee have access to digital or data expertise? This doesn't mean every member must be a technologist, but do you have someone in the room or close to the room who can translate and challenge? 4. How mature is your organization's data governance framework? Are there regular quality assessments, and does data form part of your risk register? 5. Finally, is your committee prepared to provide assurance for algorithmic decision-making? In other words, are you comfortable applying governance principles to systems, not just people? If you're unsure on any of these, you're not alone. Many organizations are still developing their assurance capabilities. But awareness is the first step toward readiness.
Audit committees have a unique role to play in NHS innovation, not as gatekeepers, but as enablers of safe, effective, and ethical change. As more NHS organizations explore AI, automation, and predictive analytics, audit committees must ensure that risk appetite is well understood and aligned with organizational strategy. Where does your trust draw the line between innovation and acceptable risk? Next, engage with your digital leaders, the CCIO, CIO, and clinical safety officer, early and regularly. These relationships are key to surfacing concerns before problems emerge and to ensuring governance is embedded throughout the digital lifecycle. Scrutinize the transparency of processes. Does your organization have a clear pipeline for innovation? Are pilot projects documented, evaluated, and reviewed at the right governance levels? Champion inclusion and ethics. As systems evolve, audit committees can ensure that vulnerable groups aren't left behind, that bias is identified, and that staff are trained to use digital tools responsibly. Finally, ensure that escalation pathways exist for digital concerns, whether clinical, operational, or ethical. Innovation shouldn't exist outside governance, it should be shaped by it. Your role is to ask the right questions, demand transparency, and support responsible progress.
Let's begin with what we want to achieve from today's session. Firstly, we'll look at how the NHS digital landscape is evolving, not just in terms of technology, but also the change it brings to clinical delivery, patient experience, and system accountability. Secondly, we'll examine the unique assurance challenges that arise from automation and AI, including data quality, bias, transparency, and the concept of explainability in decision-making. Thirdly, we'll explore the role of governance, what good oversight looks like, how to assess organizational readiness, and how audit committees can influence safe adoption and value realization. And finally, I'll leave you with practical recommendations that you can take back to your boards, including tools, resources, and assurance questions you may wish to raise. Here's the structure for today's session. We'll begin by setting the scene, exploring the evolving NHS digital landscape and how robotic process automation is already in use across back-office functions. Then, we'll focus on artificial intelligence, its current applications, associated risks, and the role of data in making or breaking its effectiveness. We'll spend time unpacking key issues like data governance and algorithmic bias, both of which can seriously undermine safety or fairness if not properly addressed. From there, we'll turn to governance, how NHS organizations can develop oversight frameworks, what assurance models look like, and how implementation should be planned over time. We'll then widen our lens to explore how audit committees can provide assurance across broader digital transformation efforts. A case study will bring the discussion to life, showing how one trusts safely deployed AI in a high-risk setting. Finally, we'll summarize practical recommendations for your committees, leave space for final reflections, and open the floor for questions. The NHS is undergoing a profound digital transformation. While headlines tend to focus on big-ticket systems like electronic health records or shared care platforms, this change is also about data culture, automation, and analytics-driven decision-making. Digital tools are no longer confined to back-office or IT functions. They now influence how a patient is triaged, how a referral is prioritized, and even how we plan resources for winter pressure. From virtual wards to predictive dashboards, data is at the heart of NHS service delivery. But complexity is increasing. As systems interconnect, the risks of error, duplication, and poor data quality grow. Cybersecurity becomes critical. Staff need support and training, and digital maturity is not consistent across trusts. For audit committees, this means that digital risk must be treated as a core business risk, not a technical one. It's also vital that you understand how digital fits into your trust's wider strategic objectives. Is digital transformation being done to the organization or with it? Are patients, clinicians, and operational leads part of the journey? Governance needs to evolve with technology, and this landscape is changing fast. Let's start with a technology that's already well embedded across NHS operations, robotic process automation, or RPA. Unlike AI, RPA doesn't learn or adapt. Instead, it mimics repetitive human actions, such as logging into a system, copying data, triggering workflows. Think of it as a digital assistant handling admin at scale. Across the NHS, RPA is used for handling outpatient bookings and reminders, managing referral processing between systems, updating patient records, automating finance and HR workflows. It improves efficiency and reduces human error, particularly in repetitive, high-volume tasks. But RPA isn't risk-free. Audit committees should ensure that the processes being automated are well understood and documented. Exceptions and failures are captured and managed. There is version control, access management, and audit logging in place. Staff understand how to intervene when needed. Also consider business continuity. What happens when an RPA flow fails or when upstream systems change? While RPA is low risk compared to AI, it still requires governance, especially where it touches patient or financial data. Many trusts now treat it as part of their core digital audit scope, and rightly so. AI is no longer theoretical in the NHS. It's being used right now, and in some very high-stakes environments. We're seeing AI in diagnostics, detecting strokes on CT scans, identifying lung nodules in X-rays, even grading diabetic retinopathy. It's also supporting demand forecasting, triage, and administrative functions like summarizing clinic notes with natural language processing. AI tools can process vast amounts of data quickly, learning patterns from historical examples. But this is also what makes them risky. Unlike rule-based systems, AI can evolve in ways that aren't always predictable or transparent. Audit committees should be asking, what AI tools are currently in use or under consideration in our organization? Are they supporting clinical decisions, automating admin tasks, or doing something else? How were these tools trained and on what data? Are clinicians able to override or question AI outputs? Crucially, AI decisions must be explainable. If a model flags a patient as high risk, staff need to understand why. If we can't explain it, we can't govern it. Another issue is drift. AI models may lose accuracy over time if the population or clinical pathway changes. There must be regular revalidation. And don't forget accountability. Who's responsible for model performance? The vendor? The chief clinical information officer? The end user? AI can add real value to the NHS, but only when deployed with guardrails, transparency, and appropriate oversight. Governance must evolve alongside the technology, and it must be multidisciplinary. Data is the lifeblood of AI and of digital transformation more broadly. But poor data governance can lead to biased, ineffective, or even dangerous outcomes. Consider this. If ethnicity is inconsistently recorded, an AI model could draw the wrong conclusions about risk in different patient groups. If discharge data is delayed or incomplete, predictive tools for readmission risk become inaccurate. Strong governance starts with data quality. Is the data accurate, complete, timely, and consistent? Data lineage. Do we know where the data comes from, how it's transformed, and how it flows between systems? Ownership. Who is responsible for maintaining quality and integrity? This is especially important for unstructured data, things like clinical notes, free text fields, or scanned documents. AI tools are increasingly using this kind of data, but it's rarely subject to the same validation processes as structured fields. Audit committees should ensure data maturity assessments are carried out, governance roles are clearly defined, data used for AI is reviewed regularly for relevance and quality. Poor data leads to poor decisions, and in a healthcare setting, that's not just inefficient, it's unsafe. This is one of the most important and most complex areas of AI assurance. Bias in algorithms doesn't necessarily mean malicious intent. It often stems from historical data that reflects inequality in access, outcomes, or recording practices. For example, if a model is trained primarily on data from white, middle-aged men, it may not perform as well for women, older people, or ethnically diverse populations. That can lead to underdiagnosis, delays in care, or even harm. Real-world examples already exist. An AI system in the US was found to systematically underpredict risk in Black patients because it used healthcare spending as a proxy for health needs. Some facial recognition tools perform significantly worse for darker skin tones. Even in clinical coding, women's heart attack symptoms are underrepresented in training data. Audit committees should be asking, what demographics were used to train and test the model? Were bias audits conducted, and what were the findings? Is performance monitored across different patient groups? Are users trained to spot and report fairness issues? Bias is not just a technical issue, it's a governance issue and ultimately a patient safety issue. You also have a legal and ethical responsibility under the Equality Act and data protection frameworks to ensure that digital systems don't discriminate. This applies to AI just as it does to human-led services. Transparency, challenge, and regular revalidation must become part of the assurance toolkit.
When we talk about artificial intelligence, it's easy to focus on the technical or regulatory dimensions. But AI also presents significant ethical considerations, and these must not be overlooked by governance bodies. One key principle is patient autonomy. Even where AI supports or suggests clinical decisions, patients and clinicians must retain agency. Are patients aware when AI is used? Do they have a say in opting out? Can clinicians challenge the AI's output? Next is transparency. NHS organizations have a responsibility to be clear with patients and the public about how decisions are being supported by algorithms. This isn't just a communications issue, it's a consent and trust issue. We also need to consider automation bias, the tendency of professionals to over-rely on AI recommendations even when their own clinical judgment might suggest otherwise. That's why training and human oversight are critical safeguards. Finally, we need clear ethical escalation routes. If a clinician or staff member has concerns about the fairness or safety of a digital system, is there a way to raise it? Is there a framework in place to evaluate and respond? Audit committees may not own the ethics agenda directly, but they have a clear role in ensuring that ethical risks are considered, monitored, and acted upon within the governance framework. Governance and assurance are central to safe AI deployment, but they must evolve because AI doesn't behave like traditional IT systems. The NHS does have emerging guidance: NHS England's AI Assurance Framework, NICE's Evidence Standards Framework for Digital Health Technologies, the AI Code of Conduct. But local governance is still catching up. Many trusts don't yet have clear lines of responsibility for AI oversight. Ask yourself, is there an algorithm register in your organization? Are AI systems logged, risk-assessed, and version-controlled? Who signs off on AI tools, and on what basis? You may also want to look at whether AI tools are included in the organization's internal audit plan, and whether your audit and risk committees receive reports on digital or data transformation. Governance should span procurement. Are vendors transparent about how models work? Deployment. Are clinical teams trained and engaged? Monitoring. Is there real-world performance tracking and escalation for adverse incidents? One emerging best practice is establishing a cross-functional AI oversight group, bringing together clinical, digital, IG, legal, and assurance leads. This ensures collective accountability and robust challenge. You may also want to recommend third-party audits or peer reviews for high-risk deployments. Remember, AI is not just another tool. It's a shift in decision-making, and that shift must be governed with the same care we apply to human-led decisions. The regulatory environment for AI in the NHS is evolving, and fast. At the national level, NHS England's AI Assurance Guide, published in 2023, provides a structured framework for evaluating and deploying AI safely. It covers themes like evidence standards, data governance, clinical validation, and post-market monitoring. NICE also offers an evidence standards framework for digital health technologies, which includes expectations for clinical effectiveness, economic impact, and usability. Any AI tool entering clinical workflow should meet these baseline standards. Then there's the Information Commissioner's Office, ICO, which provides guidance on how AI aligns with data protection law, including requirements for explainability, fairness, and lawful processing. And let's not forget the MHRA, which plays a role in regulating AI as a medical device, particularly tools that influence diagnosis or treatment decisions. There are also pilot initiatives like AI regulatory sandboxes designed to test new approaches in safe environments. What does this mean for audit committees? You don't need to be regulatory experts, but you should be aware of this landscape. When reviewing AI proposals or deployments, you should ask, has the tool been assessed against national guidance? Are external assurance or certification routes being used? Are risks, including legal and reputational ones, being actively managed? The local assurance environment must complement the national one, and audit committees have a role in joining those dots. Safe AI deployment doesn't happen overnight. It needs a phased approach. This roadmap can help structure thinking around short, medium, and long-term action. In the short term, focus on building foundational readiness. That includes developing AI literacy for senior leaders, mapping current use of digital and AI tools, identifying key risks, and setting your organization's AI risk appetite. In the medium term, organizations should run safe pilot projects, small-scale, well-governed, and measurable. Establish multidisciplinary steering groups. Conduct equality impact assessments for AI tools. Begin embedding AI monitoring dashboards for internal use. In the long term, your governance should scale up successful pilots based on evidence, embed audit trails and regular revalidation into operations, create continuous feedback loops between users, digital teams, and oversight bodies. Audit committees should expect updates aligned to this roadmap. These updates should cover deployment progress, assurance gaps, risk reviews, and outcome data. Remember, AI is not a project, it's an ongoing capability, and the roadmap is never truly finished. It's a cycle of experimentation, evaluation, governance, and improvement. AI may be our focus today, but it's just one part of the digital revolution happening in the NHS. Digital transformation includes EPR rollouts, digital diagnostics platforms, real-time command centers, virtual wards, and population health analytics, all of which carry operational, clinical, and governance implications. Audit committees should take a strategic view of digital transformation, not as a bolt-on, but as a central change program. Governance must reflect this. You should be asking, how is digital transformation governed in our organization? Are roles and responsibilities clear? Does the digital strategy align with our board assurance framework? Digital assurance should cover interoperability. Can systems talk to each other safely? Information governance. Is data being accessed, stored, and shared appropriately? Procurement. Are we buying solutions that fit long-term strategy or reacting to short-term pressure? Also consider inclusion. Are we thinking about those who are digitally excluded, whether patients or staff? Are clinical teams fully engaged in system design? Has training been prioritized? And finally, impact. Many digital programs make big claims about productivity or efficiency, but are benefits being tracked? Are dashboards in place? Is patient safety being enhanced or eroded? Governance of digital transformation must be as robust as our governance of finance, estates, or clinical risk, because the consequences are just as significant. Let's ground this in a real-world NHS example. A successful AI deployment at University Hospitals Birmingham. Working in partnership with Cure.ai and supported by the NHS AI Lab, UHB implemented an AI tool to assist radiologists in interpreting chest X-rays, particularly in high-demand scenarios. The tool automatically analyzed X-rays and highlighted potential abnormalities, allowing urgent cases to be prioritized faster. Outcomes included a 30% reduction in turnaround time for scan reporting, improved triage of high-risk cases, better use of radiologist time, focusing their expertise where it was most needed. But what makes this case study particularly useful is how governance was built in. Clinicians were involved throughout development and deployment. The tool was tested against local patient data. Human oversight was maintained. AI acted as a support, not a replacement. Monitoring and safety reporting mechanisms were established. It also highlighted real challenges: the importance of local validation, the need for training, the practicalities of integrating AI into existing workflows. This project didn't just improve efficiency, it demonstrated that AI, when governed properly, can enhance care without compromising safety or professional judgment. Let me now offer 5 practical, actionable recommendations to help your committee prepare for and influence the digital future. 1. Build AI and digital literacy within the committee. This doesn't require deep technical knowledge, but familiarity with key terms, risks, and governance models is essential. A 1-hour workshop or a joint session with your digital leadership team could go a long way. 2. Request an algorithm and digital tools register. You need visibility. Ask for a regularly updated log of all AI, RPA, and advanced analytics tools in use, with their assurance status, risk ratings, and ownership. 3. Include data governance maturity in internal audit planning. This should cover data quality, access control, retention policies, and alignment to clinical and operational needs. 4. Ensure bias and fairness are considered in all AI deployments. This includes demographic validation of tools, explanation of model logic, and clear reporting pathways if users suspect bias. 5. Broaden your audit scope to cover digital transformation. Don't limit assurance to financial or compliance domains. Digital is now a driver of clinical safety, performance, and reputation. Above all, see your role not as slowing down innovation but as enabling it, responsibly, safely, and transparently. To conclude, the NHS is entering a critical phase of digital evolution, and audit committees will be key to ensuring this is done well. Your oversight doesn't just protect against failure, it creates the conditions for success, making sure digital investments deliver value, uphold equity, and build public trust. I encourage you to start conversations with your digital leads, request assurance on current and planned deployments, reflect on your own committee's digital readiness, and consider whether internal audit needs to expand its focus into digital transformation, AI ethics, and data governance. Change is coming, and it's coming fast. But with the right governance, that change can be safe, fair, and beneficial for patients, staff, and the system as a whole. Thank you for your time today. I'd now like to open the floor for any questions or reflections. Has your committee encountered AI in practice yet? Are there specific risks or uncertainties you'd like to explore further? And are there areas where collaboration, with digital leaders, clinicians, or auditors could help strengthen your assurance framework. Let's take a few minutes to discuss.